I don't know how you guys did this, but you're genius. It's just, I think you're way ahead of your time. I really do.
We get so excited, especially on design days like today, bringing it all together and then seeing the reactions on your faces.
Seeing it every time is just like, that is the coolest room.
Yeah. My view of this is a substantially better home than it looked on paper.
Yeah. That's the obstacle for people in designing a new home, is that they have to run to all these different locations and try to make everything look like it's gonna go well together. So we want you to figure that all out while you're here.
You have that visual to go back to. It's just a confirmation that everything you chose is going to work.
I've heard stories of people in the past building a new home and they just need to beg their designer for some sort of rendering.
My drive back later this afternoon is going to be easy because you guys have really, led us down a path that's just going to be so rewarding. So I can't wait to bring my family in once this is done.
You are creating something that is going to be a part of your family legacy, and that's something we get to be a part of. We do this regularly. It's just the development of a relationship. That's why I think we end up having so much fun when we're all together.
Yeah. We'll have the sliding doors open, listening to the loons, letting the breezes come in. I mean, it is going to be epic.
We've got a special treat today. We just wrapped up a 2-day design center experience in our showroom. It went so smoothly, we were able to peel away to film a podcast. So let's talk about how incredible this home is and what can viewers expect when we feature this home someday in the future.
Well, the inspiration really came from the YouTube videos that you and your team did. I got hooked into those things, and the more I watched of it, the more I realized that not only were these things really well built, but it was the process that just intrigued me. I just realized that if I was going to build a house, and I'm a novice, really, I'm at 70 years old, young 70, but 70, I hadn't built a house before, and it scared me to death. And so we have a family compound. We have an older home there. We decided to tear it down and build a house. Well, I selected an architect, a local architect. He drew up a bunch of plans, and I looked at them, and I started talking to builders, contractors. And the more I got into it, the more I realized I can't do this on my, this is more than I can do. And by the way, we live 180 miles south of where this home is going to be built. And so that meant, in my mind, that I was going to have to do a lot of traveling. I was going to have to do a lot of running around that I really didn't want to do and frankly didn't have time to do. So I then switched, pulled the plug on the architect. I said, hey, to my wife, I said, let's look at these guys down in Wisconsin Rapids. I think they've got a really cool looking designs. I think they do things the right way. I think that the process is going to be simple, quick, efficient. And I said, that's what I want to have. I want to have something where I can go down, have them design a home. I'll go down for 2 days, like we've just done, pick out 80% of and make 80% of the interior, exterior decisions that we need, and go home and maybe sometime down the road, that house will be built and I will have felt like I did a lot but didn't have to do a lot. So that was the impetus, and today was sort of a semi-culmination of the design planning phase, and it's 100% more than I thought it would be. It's way better than I thought, and I just can't wait to watch it move through completion.
Yeah. I thought we had a great plan coming in today, or these couple days, and we just made it probably 1,000 times better with the team we have assembled here today. Sarah Blake, Zach, Renee, and the rest of the interior design team. Like I said, we made a great home even better, and I didn't think it was possible, but we did. We really did. Some of the interior design features, moving maybe some things we didn't realize what it was going to look like until we saw some of those interior renderings, and then we saw the exterior renderings today as well, or Oni did yesterday, and I wish we could have captured her response when she saw those exterior renderings. She's like, "That's my house," and she got even more excited. Yeah. It was great to see her face when she saw that. So I think those are super helpful. And then, just the whole team that we have assembled here helps that plan become even better throughout that entire process.
So I wanted to mention to those who are watching, so Oni's over in the Design Center showroom with Renee right now.
Yeah.
And they're wrapping up a few things. So this is great. We were able to pull away and record this segment of the podcast. And I think a lot of it was driven by all of your comments that we were hearing over the last 2 days. And you kept emphasizing how important the process is to you. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people would say that if you're looking for a simple and streamlined process, that it would come with fewer options. Did you feel like you were limited on options?
Oh, there's more than you can even imagine, and I knew there were a lot of options coming down, but after going through this for 2 days, I don't even think we saw half of what we could have seen, because you're not overwhelmed, but you're going to pick the right thing. I mean, there are plenty of materials. I mean, hey, how about the option of being able to put guardrails up on your garbage cans? How many people can do that with a home? Or how many people say, gee, that back closet in the mudroom isn't quite right. Well, 5 minutes later, it's made right. And does this look like what you were thinking about? And absolutely. And so, not only are all the materials and all of the resources that you guys have plentiful, but so are is the imagination, the creativity of your team. The minute we say something, somebody's on it right away, and all of a sudden, bam, we've got something different, and all of a sudden, that's something we can either think about, but usually, hey, that solves the problem. And that happened multiple times this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the advantage of Golden Eagle and having everything right here. Yep. Is, hey, we had a question about design or engineering. Those guys are right in the next office. Yep. Pricing out some of the stone, the natural cut stone. Hey, the pricing team is right next door. So it made it very efficient to make those decisions and wrap up everything in an efficient timeline.
So Sarah, you've probably found, you do this all the time, working with clients, you find that renderings are very helpful.
Yep.
And you help guide us on how the design, the aesthetic should look. And a lot of that started before you guys even got here, doing Zoom calls and all that beforehand. Will you talk to the importance of being able to show renderings, and then also describe what's this overall design aesthetic that we're going for on this home?
Mm-hmm. I think designs or renderings right now are the most important thing that you can provide, because people, that don't do this every day, maybe you guys and I are like, oh yeah, I see that, but they need something visual. They're spending a lot of money and need to know exactly what they're going to get. Yeah, it's the most important thing. And especially with, computers and HGTV and, your podcasts, or not even your podcasts, your YouTube videos, there's visuals all over the place. And I think everyone needs those in order to see what you're going to get, right? Mm-hmm. It was like Oni. I think she came in with her inspiration photo, which is completely different than the drawing, but she saw the drawing and she fell even more in love with her actual house than the inspiration photos, the things that she thought that she loved.
And we all remember a time when we couldn't rely on renderings.
Right.
It really wasn't that long ago.
No.
So for those of us in the industry, we've really come to appreciate it. And then from a homeowner's perspective, I mean, you probably see it as a huge leap forward in technology and being able to lean into that and make the build experience a bit more predictable. You know what you're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that speaking about my wife, Oni, she came down, we had a 3-hour drive, and she had plenty of time to be skeptical. Well, the minute we saw the initial rendering of the outside of the exterior of the home, it was over. She had fallen in love immediately. And then once we started unpeeling the onion, looking at the different rooms, and she kept going further and further and further down that rat hole, going, I'm in. I'm all in. She was, I didn't know on the way down, but now she's snake bitten.
I think
how would you describe that?
Her favorite part, I think, and Gordon's too, is it took this. I think she was coming down thinking, oh, we're gonna have this log cabin, you know?
Yeah.
But we were able, you guys were awesome. You blended her modern, what were we calling it?
Rustic modern.
Rustic modern. We had a rustic modern style, but we
Yeah.
worked that into the drawings. And so there's a little bit of her and a little bit of him and a little bit of you guys. And it's just, yeah, it turned out beautifully. It was awesome. And I think Gordon just kept saying the most awesome thing was you guys are there for every step of it. Like, we know you're busy. We know you have other projects. I don't think either one of us ever felt like you didn't have enough time or patience or, you know, you weren't like half in, half out. You were all in, which is awesome. Yeah. So good work.
Well, thank you. You know, we get so excited, especially on design days like today, bringing it all together and then seeing the reactions on your faces. It's even when we notice that, hey, I don't see as big of a smile as I'd anticipate. So let's dig into that a little bit more and let's figure that out. And it did happen a few times, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, multiple times.
Yeah.
Well, and every time we came up with the vision that I want is this. And I could see both of you going, yeah, I think I've seen that before. 5 minutes later, you're showing us a book of something that you've done before, or you're sketching something that we hadn't even considered. And I mean, literally, I thought when talking to you initially, oh, that's probably going to go right over his head. Not once. Not once did it go right over. You were at it, and I mean, even if it was just a wall that was slightly out of place, or we needed a window here or a door placed differently or whatever, it was literally 5 minutes after it was suggested, it was done. We said, is this right? Is this wrong? And so at every turn, there was an answer, and no pressure, but just, hey, what about this way?
What's neat about those books is that they feature so many homes that aren't even on YouTube. They're just previous projects. And there are a lot of ideas. Oftentimes, clients are just looking for that visual to reinforce what they're describing. And it proves to be very helpful for us in this design process because we don't really want to move beyond something with uncertainty overhanging us. And I do feel like we come to a lot of conclusions during these 2 days. And of course, they could be longer than 2 days. And we'd love to have you guys back if, you know, as the project develops, if anything unravels a certain way where we want to change any sort of direction, you certainly aren't locked into a certain design style. So that's what's great about it, is that there's a good evolution. Now, Sarah, you've made a ton of different selections in the past with other clients, achieving many different design styles. From an interior designer's perspective, one who you're primarily in the Twin Cities area, what's it like to achieve a high-end aesthetic on a rustic home like this?
I think it was so fun, and really easy, you know, although it's fairly, I guess, unique, I guess, to blend those two styles together. People don't typically think of, I guess, kind of that more modern aesthetic mixed with the rustic house, but it was easy and fun.
Gordon, you were saying there were a few homes that you had seen on our YouTube channel that suggested to you that Golden Eagle hits the nail on the head when it comes to a certain style that you're looking for. You know, our homes look different than most timber frame homes.
Yes.
Well, personally, I'm not a fan of full log homes, but I am a fan of log homes, and so by that I mean I like the look of a hewn log or even a quarter log, the way we're going to be doing it. But I like the idea that once you've exited from the outside of that home, gone in the front door, all of a sudden. You guys have the ability to transform that space into something that's completely different than what you see on the outside. And now some people may not want that. That was what I really wanted. We're up in the woods, we're on a lake. I wanted it to look like a real cabin. But the minute you walk inside, you're walking into one of the best put together homes, not only structurally, but all of the components in that house. I mean, we went from what do the countertop look like, so the appliances, you know, the windows, the doors, everything in this is no log cabin. This is a truly spectacular home. And I mean, it's cloaked in a cabin.
It certainly is. Even just the selection of the faucets. What was that finish, Sarah? Was it champagne bronze?
Well, champagne bronze and Delta, and then Lux Gold in the Brizo.
In Brizo.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. So just some, I think, aesthetic choices that aren't your traditional default in a log and timber home.
Right.
That the oil rub bronze and the black, which are awesome selections, but I think that this home in particular carries a very heavy designer aesthetic. You can tell that that there's a professional designer carrying this through to the furnishings even. So that'll be your capacity too, is you're gonna make sure that everything is furnished well. And Gordon, you even said we're welcome to come out and do a YouTube feature tour on this home.
You're already invited. Can't wait. It's gonna be big.
Well, we sure look forward to it. Now, when we talk about your home, I think what's gonna be so important and it's gonna resonate with viewers is the fact that you're on a lake. And you pointed out that all the beds in this home, they face the lake view. And the priority of window placement, even just look at what we did on that freestanding tub and making those windows dramatically larger so that if you're in the tub, you can see the lake. I would love to pick your brain on your priorities. You and Justin were working on designing this home together for a very long time, and you had some must-haves. What would you say they were?
Ooh, wow. Okay, well, first of all, because it is on a lake, we wanted all of the south-facing, sort of southwest-facing windows to have unobstructed, as best as we could, views of the lake. That was number one. Number two, for me, the one was my wife's number one thing, was she wanted to be able to see the lake from every part of that home, from whether she was in the kitchen, in the den, on the deck, in the master bedroom, master bathroom. I mean, you can see the lake from every room in this home, and we made sure that happened. We even made sure that the second master bedroom on the main floor had access, double doors to the lake, and they have a bed with the foot of the bed that faces the lake. I really believe any natural human being, when they wake up, isn't looking to the side to see the lake. You're looking down the end of the bed. So that was important, that the foot of the bed faced the lake. What else? We built it in a way that it's going to be easy to accommodate a lot of guests. So large center island. We wanted a kitchen that was truly a spectacular kitchen, because that, in today's world, I think we can all agree that the central focus of most homes is different than it was 50 years ago when we all sat in overstuffed chairs in the living room and didn't get much done. Now we're around the kitchen, we can eat, we can drink, we can do all those things. And so for that reason, I said a premium has to be put on a kitchen that can handle a lot of people, can handle all of their needs, cooking, everything. Everything is right there. So those things were important, and I think finally, just what is the aesthetic of the exterior and interior of that home? Is it well thought out? Is it attractive, appealing? And I think we just nailed it on every. I mean, I can't tell you. I had one idea when we came down 24 hours ago, and now today, my view of this is a substantially better home than it looked on paper.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned, Gordon, that obviously you're not living in the area you're going to be building in. It's almost 3 hours away. And I think a lot of our clients are doing that. These are vacation homes or second homes, and they're not going to be there. And a lot of times our clients aren't in the same town that we're in as well, designing the home. So, can you describe that design process, how you felt through that design process, not being in person here on a daily basis going through that design, but how the design process went, how you felt that was?
So I think we came down last May, and it was really I picked up the phone call, and I happened to get Justin on the phone. I said, hey, I know a little bit about you guys. Can we come down and talk to you? He said, a week later we were down. And I think one of the benefits of this facility here is the first thing you see when you walk in is all of the different products and resources that are available, well, then you go sit down and you guys fire up your videos and all of your social media exposure. You're given a quick study on what you guys have done, what you can do, but no pushing. All you really asked was, okay, what do you like? What don't you like? What can we do? And so I said, well, there's one design that I really like. Can we start there? And we designed something really quickly. I mean, I think you got back to me within the first week. You had a very rough sketch, and we started moving from there. It started off, as you know, we wanted to walk out, or the gradation of the property didn't allow that. So we switched gears and went to a more of a ranch, or one-story home with a crawl space, and we improvised a bedroom on the second level next to the bonus room above the garage. We angled the garage so that we had actually some space between the house and the garage where we could put that second bedroom. So we really eliminated the need for a lower level, and you were able to come up with a great way to use all of the space we had and still be able to get everything we needed in, and we won't even have a wet basement.
Right, exactly. I mean, I love that we're able to do this design virtually most of the time. There was times where you were at your home in Minnetonka, and sometimes you were at your home on the lake, right,
Yep.
that we're going to be building on. So we're able to do this design work virtually. I mean, I'm able to share a screen, and it's almost like we're sitting at the table like we are today and talking about the plan.
Oh yeah, half-hour Zoom call. All you needed. You knew where everything was. You knew how to, and right. If you use the Zoom function, while we're sitting there, you're actually drawing on the screen, so we can see. Well, this changed. Well, this bathroom shouldn't be there. The kitchen should be bigger than that. The bedroom should be further over here. Every little thing. See ya. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks, and come back in a couple weeks. All that's there. Now, what do we want to change? But I'd say we had 4 or 5 Zoom calls, and really in those calls we were able to nail down pretty much 80% of what we needed, and the rest we got done this weekend.
Yeah, and same like with the property, like you mentioned quickly about the property, we were hoping maybe for a walkout basement. You thought you had enough slope for a walkout. We were able to take that survey information, import it into our design software, realize very quickly that the walkout really isn't gonna work here. So let's shift gears and maybe go to a bigger ranch with the living space up above on the second floor and above the garage. So we realized that very quickly in the design phase, and it didn't come further down along when it's almost kind of too late. We need to rework a lot of things, or maybe it's the home's being built and now it's way too late.
And I think that in doing so, I thank my property for being flat, because it really, I think we would have spread our resources amongst 2 floors, and we may not have gotten what we've now got with 1 floor, 1.5. And so I think we were able to consolidate our resources on the family room and all of the major rooms. We were able to my wife and I were able to get our own little rooms. I got a den, she got an office and an exercise room. And we were able to do that all on 1 level pretty much, and still accommodate everything we had planned on having if we had had a walkout. And that's because you had the foresight to say, well, let's just go this way a little bit and let's go up a little bit, and I think we can get it done.
Absolutely. Yeah, your knees will thank you down the road for sure.
Yeah.
And with a ranch style home, you pick up those dramatic ceilings. Like you got that huge studio vault in your master bedroom, vaulted ceilings elsewhere. And with that in mind, you thought to yourself, well, when this house isn't full of the kids and grandchildren, you're still going to want a quieter space, which is why you designed the den. Sarah, that den's come a long way. Will you speak to the design style that we have and what's going on there? We'll throw some renderings up on the screen.
Well, it started out when I first saw the drawing. We were on a Zoom call with Renee, and she was going over the design, and it was one long bar along one side of the wall. And then, just the evolution of the design process. They're like, oh, I think I want some. I'm like, how about we do bookshelves flanking the fireplace? Okay, we do that. And then we're like, well, that's in the way of the bar. And then we came up with shrinking, I guess, the bar down a little bit smaller, building in a nook, and then extending the powder bath on the other side. And it just made the coolest room. I don't know how we got there. And then you guys made the beautiful rendering of it. Seeing it every time is just like, that is the coolest room. Yeah, it's going to be a great space.
And Gordon, what do you think you're going to love about that?
Well, that's got a fireplace in it. And I think if you're sitting in there and you turn your head, you'll also see a fireplace in the family room just across. But just the warmth and coziness of that little room. My wife and I love to sit at night, play backgammon, have a cocktail, and, you know, in this case at the lake, we'll have the sliding doors open, listening to the loons, letting the breezes come in. I mean, it is going to be epic.
It is.
So those renderings, were you expecting that?
No, not even close.
Isn't that great? I've heard stories of people in the past building a new home, and they just need to beg their designer for some sort of rendering. And the rendering they get is nowhere close to what we're providing. Here you weren't even expecting it, but it's just our default. It's what we do. Justin and I speak to this on other podcasts in the past, that there are things that we know clients want. And if it can help make your life easier, and boy, it sure expedited our decisions over the last 2 days in particular. It's something that as a company, we need to grow to evolve and offer to clients.
Yep.
I think with the complexity and the details that are done with this type of home, it's a necessity. I mean, sometimes it's hard to visualize those ceiling planes and how those beams and trusses are going to hit different walls and different ceiling planes. You know, it's hard to visualize those three-dimensional objects for clients, and this eases their mind, gets them excited, just like Oni did when she saw it. So yeah, definitely a must, and definitely something we should expand on.
I think they help us even as professionals.
Oh,
like
yeah.
we all caught, you catch a thing after thing after, you're like, oh, I got to drop that board. I've got to,
The band,
let's
right.
raise the band, whatever. We've got to raise the door heights. It's just amazing how it saves you mistakes or things that you may not have loved as much.
Yep.
Exactly.
It makes it a custom home, like
Well,
tailored for them.
Speaking of the renderings, it also, I think if you recall in the process this last couple of days, via the renderings, we were able to look at ceiling, at window heights and cabinet heights, and it's much easier to see all those, get those right through a rendering as opposed to some blueprint that's just got a bunch of lines on it and gives you 4 walls and a floor, and you don't know what that is. But this way, we're all visual. And visual, it speaks 1,000 words. It really does. And that makes a huge difference.
Yep. You're building a model of the home. Actually, you're really building the home before you build it. And typically when you custom build anything, you know, we refer a lot to the car industry. Everybody's, familiar with buying a car, but usually they're building a model of that new model that's coming out so that they can see it and visualize it and make changes and make it better. So that's kind of what we're doing with the renderings, I think.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to be disappointed in is I'm not going to be surprised.
I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, it did help too. Compliments to you guys, like how you had the drafter, the gal running SketchUp, like instantaneous, like, let's consider a different stone, let's consider a different cabinet color. I mean, it was instant. Like in 10 minutes, we had something to show Oni and Gordon, and then it was like, oh yeah, that's the right track. Like that's fantastic. Yep.
And I think that a lot of that speaks to just the personality of those who work here.
Right.
So Dayla in particular is the one that was doing the renderings for this project, and she has a background in interior design.
Right.
She had been in design meetings like the ones that we had been having for the last 2 days. She had done that for many years. And but she also is a professional interior designer. So applying all those skills to doing the renderings takes it a bit further. I mean, we saw inspiration for lighting fixtures in those renderings, right? That we thought, that's a
Gordon's
great
like,
idea.
Sign me up.
Good idea, Dayla.
Yeah, I want to know how she knew we played backgammon.
Isn't that something?
There was a backgammon table in the rendering. I go, how could this be?
So what I love about Dayla, what I think is so special in particular, is she knows how important it is to have those renderings updated. And that these are time-sensitive decisions. What I care the most about when you're here in the Design Center showroom is that we're getting all of our colors put together, creating these color schemes, because that's the obstacle for people in designing a new home, is that they have to run to all these different locations and try to make everything look like it's gonna go well together. So we want you to figure that all out while you're here. If we need to fine tune a faucet selection in the future, that's not nearly as big of a deal.
I think it helps them have peace of mind as they leave and go away, or even like last night when they go home and you're rethinking all of your selections. You have that visual to go back to. It's just a like confirmation that everything you chose is going to work. Like, I don't know how you can do it better.
We always hear that it's the most fun 2 days for clients.
It is.
And there was a lot of laughter in
Yeah.
the last 2 days.
I was scared to death coming down here, and we had a riot.
We did.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have been more fun. Yeah.
Well, it speaks a lot to you guys as well. And we always reflect on it. And, we work with just the best clients.
We absolutely do.
And you know why? First of all, you guys you're excited about what we do. So that's very rewarding for us. Additionally, you are creating something that is going to be a part of your family legacy. And that's something we get to be a part of. We're bought into that as well. We live in these homes. We do this regularly, but this is not something that we're just trying to process through by any means. We become lifelong friends through this process. So it's just the development of a relationship. That's why I think we end up having so much fun when we're all together.
Yeah. It was wonderful. I said to Zach halfway through this, I said, I don't know how you guys did this, but you're genius. It's just, I think you're way ahead of your time. I really do. I think that this is a model that is going to sustain its time. It's going to stand over time. I know you guys are only going to make it even that much better, but I just think that taking what I refer to as the brain damage out of building a home, I think you've done that. And I think you've said, hey, we'll take on that damage, allow us to show you what will work, and we'll download all of that anxiety you've got. And I seriously, my drive back later this afternoon is going to be easy because you guys have really, led us down a path that's just going to be so rewarding. So I can't wait to bring my family in once this is done. And by the way, I've got a second master bedroom. Every one of you is invited to try it out.
Wonderful.
Great.
That'll be great. Well, when we come and do the YouTube tour,
Oh, you got it.
I got that room.
Yeah, you got it. Yep.
So dibs on that. Now,
Yeah.
Sarah, I'm just curious, being that this is your first time working with a Golden Eagle client, coming to our design center showroom, are there things that you saw that surprised you, or things where perhaps it would be a bit tougher for you in your role, where you thought to yourself, boy, it's sure nice that now we don't have to even think about that?
No, I think it's great. Like I specifically do remodeling in the Twin Cities. I don't build a lot of new homes, and the design choices can be overwhelming, and that's always where clients' anxiety, I think, lies. Is, oh my gosh, how am I going to choose? And that's our job, right? Is to help guide them into, okay, here's 3. Choose one. I think you guys have done a fantastic job in doing just that, where you're like, okay, I have this cabinet manufacturer and this cabinet manufacturer. Here's 3 choices of, whatever, siding, stain, or whatever, the tongue and groove, or it's limiting. They're all wonderful choices, and there's plenty of choices. You never feel limited at all. But it's just narrowing things down so that it's easy for all of us to make decisions. Yeah, no, you have a great selection of all the things.
And your relationship started before this Golden Eagle project. You guys are, in fact, working on a renovation currently.
We are, yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your bathroom, Gordon?
Well, we met Sarah, a couple months ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was in November.
Yeah, we've got an older home in Minnetonka, needed a major bathroom renovation, and Sarah came in and saw it right away and knew right away what we needed to do. She was on it and came back at us with a proposal, and we were off and running. And she did it so quickly, so fast, so efficiently. We said, how about if you join us down at Golden Eagle? Because I think you can really lend some perspective to all of these choices that we have. And I said to her on the way down, I said, my wife and I, we are just novices. You are now the go-between, and by the way, you are the final arbiter. If we don't agree, you will get the choice, and we will abide by that. And we had no disagreements. We rarely had to go to Sarah for the final consensus. And I can't say enough about what a great fun, great process. I mean, you guys should be commended, and I couldn't recommend you more.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That was easy peasy. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah.
It was all just pleasant.
And then I think a big part of this is going to be the execution of the project, the build itself. And you're partnered with a builder that's going to be a first-time build for Golden Eagle. Justin, will you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah.
And then let's also chat about how did that quoting process look? Because you did reach out to multiple builders to get quotes, didn't you? So I think we should spend some time on that.
Sure. Yeah. I think you selected Scott McCall for the builder. Had multiple conversations with him, and he seems like going to be a great fit. He's a craftsman. He's a custom home builder. He's going to take the time to craft this home. He's just not looking to just crank this home out. Like you mentioned before, we're gonna build this home meticulously, and he's definitely up to the task. That's what he likes doing. He's going to come visit us once we get our final construction documents done. He's going to come down and make a visit to us. We're going to do a plan review session with him. Our general manager and or our design manager is going to sit down with him, go through those entire construction documents, which now are going to be 25 to 30 pages long. Go through those with him, answer any questions that he has about them, and basically ease his mind about the building process. He's going to love it when it's done. He's going to meet our service team, our shipping coordinator. He's going to put faces with the names that he's going to be talking to on the phone. And I have full confidence it's going to be a great process and a great build. He seems like a good guy.
And he's built other large caliber homes in that area as well.
Correct. Yeah, that was how I found him. It was via the architect that I first started working with, and I asked for 3 or 4 builders up in that area, and I connected with him. He took me to a number of the homes that he was currently developing. All of them were beautiful homes, and I got to know actually a couple of his foremen and some of the fellows that work for him, and couldn't have been more impressed. I could tell every job site was clean. Everything was obviously well organized. I knew this guy had his client's best interests in mind. So that being said, I did want a couple of other bids. So we got 2 other bids besides Scott's. His was in the middle, wasn't the lowest, wasn't the highest. But I really respect the fact that he is going to come down, take out time out of his own, work week, come down and visit with Justin, with you, Zach, and your team, and get to know the process. And I sense a real excitement from him. He specifically, when I first mentioned the way you guys operate, he said, it's like having your own lumber yard at your site. And he said, I can't tell you the number of times I've made a lumber order or some other cabinet order, tile order, whatever it may be, where the delivery will be made and you're short something. He said it really holds a project up. And he said, I'm confident that when the Golden Eagle truck arrives, after I've called them, hey, it's window day, that all of the windows will be what I've specified. What's specified, they'll be there. If not, Golden Eagle's going to make that up. And he said it takes a big part of his day. So if I'm a contractor, and I keep saying this to Scott, I said, "Well, Scott, if this goes as well as I think it's going to go, you should become part of Golden Eagle and be, a sole contractor to these guys." I mean, because I think this is really something that is going to benefit your business. I think that you're going to get a lot out of this, and I think you're going to learn something. Even though you know a lot already, I think he's going to learn something.
That relationship that's built with our team here, the fellows that he'll be coordinating those deliveries with, he's going to come to find that he's going to actually enjoy calling in, because you're just slightly catching up about the weekend. Everyone loves Scott over in our shipping and receiving department, and Scott's scheduling those deliveries. I think what's really important here is the accountability that we hold for ourselves to get it right the first time. Now, you're really not that far away. for us, we consider you a local build, even though many would probably say you're pretty far away.
I would.
But see, for us, we're so used to Wyoming, Colorado,
North Carolina. I mean,
right?
Yeah.
New York. And here's why that matters. It's not to say, wow, look at all these projects everywhere. We need to get it right the first time when it's that far away. Because to send new product a second time, completely on our dime, just to make good on it, would be pretty costly.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure the material we're sending is the best that we can find. That when we're counting that material out, that it's counted 2 or 3 times. And here's why it really matters for the client and also the builder at the end of the day. If it holds you up, boy, a delay can be a costly delay, right? It could throw off your subcontractors. And if that schedule is no longer aligning, it can really have a ripple effect. So the efficiency of these projects, granted, these are more complicated homes than a typical home, but being that they are structured to be more efficient, they don't come with the preventable headaches that you would still get on an ordinary home. I think that's what makes it special. And we find that a lot of high-end builders really appreciate that because if we can eliminate half the headaches that they might get, they notice it.
You guys are literally eliminating about 80% of the legwork that typical, like I'm a contractor in Minnesota, like I handle all of the design choices, all of the selections, all of the ordering, all of the coordinating, the shipping, you know, the install, everything. You're handling like 80% of the load, which is awesome.
And oftentimes a builder, while we don't tell them, we don't coordinate with them whatever their prices may be.
Right.
But they oftentimes recognize that Golden Eagle's taking care of a lot of stuff here, so I can shave off my bid a little bit here because there's stuff that I don't need to account for and less responsibility on their end.
Yep. Yeah. They could in turn handle more projects probably.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely one thing we focus on with new builders is, hey, we can alleviate some of that stress or that legwork, maybe some of that design work that they may be doing or they have another party do. We can be that person for them. And then like you just said, it opens up their time. They can maybe build another home, take on another client.
Yep.
Maybe that client, maybe their build time isn't 2 years out now.
Right.
Maybe it's a year out only. So definitely a good point to bring out.
Well, I love that you're going to have a home right on the lake with a heated garage. You're going to keep your boat there, all the lake toys. You're going to have so much fun. And over all those years, building the memories with your family. So thank you so much for bringing us along on that journey. We're thrilled that there's going to be another incredible Golden Eagle log home out there and that we are partnering with your family. So thank you so much. And also thanks for joining us on today's podcast.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's just been a great 2 days and can't wait to get the project underway and show it off to you guys.
We can't wait to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.